Are you the kind of person who loves other people's company, or are you a bit more of an introvert? But can you imagine being so worried about being around other people that you find it a struggle to socialise, to shop, or even to speak on the telephone? And that's what Steve Light has experienced in the past, because he suffered from a condition called social anxiety disorder. And Steve has, I think it's fair to say, come out the other side. He set up events to help other people with the same condition. And it is extraordinary, you know. You suffer and have suffered from social anxiety disorder, and here you are live on BBC Radio Manchester. Now, 5 years ago, would you have been able to do that?
No, I wouldn't be able to do this at all. I feel pretty relaxed now, but looking back to the kind of frame of mind I was in 5 years ago, I couldn't even... I found it hard to speak on the phone to even people I knew. I found it hard to get a job. I used to go out. I remember I was living in Bristol at the time. I used to go out and walk around town looking over my shoulder all the time, because I was kind of embarrassed just about being myself, just being out with people. And then I'd go up to a job agency, look through the window and rehearse in my head what I was going to say beforehand, and then I'd talk myself out of going in.
So sad, really, to hear your story. At what age were you aware of this condition? Or, I mean, before you knew it was a condition, at what age were you aware that you were different from other people?
Well, I always knew I was shy. I just thought that was the way I was. But back when I was 19, about 8 years ago, I was working at Royal Mail, and I was sat around the table, and there's 4 other people there. And everyone was chatting away, and I was too embarrassed to talk. And then suddenly on the radio, there's this advert, and this guy said, "Do you find it awkward? Do you find yourself feeling awkward in group situations? You might have social anxiety." And then something clicked in my head, and I thought maybe I could be suffering with this. So as soon as I got home, I looked on the internet, and there's a website dedicated to this actual disorder, and there's thousands of other people who had it, and I didn't feel so weird anymore.
I know, absolutely. So suddenly it has a name, first of all, which is very good, isn't it? And yes, secondly, you know that you're not alone. So was that a turning point for you, of sorts?
It was. It was an amazing feeling finding out about social anxiety, that I had a name for the way I was feeling. But then I saw myself talking to people online a lot who had social anxiety, and then not getting any better because I was shutting myself in the room still. So it was a bit of a vicious circle. But it wasn't until 2005 when I said to myself, I'm going to do something about this. I'm sick of being like this. And I forced myself to go to a self-help group. And that was a major turning point.
When you say you forced yourself, did you really have to concentrate and focus and make yourself go?
Yeah, well, it took me about 3 years to go to that. So I kept saying next week. Yeah. 3 years. I kept saying next week I'll go, and the time would come and I'd be too nervous. I'd think about, oh no, how many people are there? What do I say? It's just really sad that around 10% of the population suffer with this, and I really want to create awareness and let people know that there's help out there.
10%?
Roughly 10%, yeah.
I do wonder, actually, and you'll know better than me, if social anxiety disorder is on the increase because of the way we communicate. I mean, you've just talked about socialising online, and in a way we do shut ourselves off, don't we, from one-to-one conversations in real life with real people.
Yeah, definitely. It's becoming a problem because we're in an internet age and we're ordering everything online, we're chatting online, we're doing like everything, things like Facebook, we're talking to people online, we're not meeting people face to face. Like 50 years ago, we'd have to either call someone up or go and meet them, and there's so many different ways to communicate now.
Yes, which maybe is why this is quite recognised now, social anxiety disorder. But as you said, you really wanted to do something to help other people who are suffering with this. It's very widespread. So you have actually, you've got a one-day event coming up, haven't you, that's called Shining a Light?
Yeah, we've got an event called Shining a Light, which is on the 5th of September. And we've run a couple of events before under my organisation name, Leading Light. And this event is in Manchester. I decided to have it in Manchester because I know quite a lot of people who have SA in Manchester. I came to a group meet here about 4 years ago, and I met quite a lot of nice people, which is ironic because everyone goes out in a group of about 40 people who had SA, and now they're all socialising, so it's really cool.
That's fantastic, isn't it? That's a real success, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm running this event, and it's split into 2 sessions. So there's a day session from 9:30 to 5:30, and people can come along and try different workshops such as laughter therapy, NLP, hypnotherapy. There's a public speaking coach.
Steve, what would you say to somebody listening to this who, for suddenly a light in a way has gone on and said, oh yes, as you did all those years ago, maybe that's what I'm suffering, but I would never dare go to a day event like that?
Yeah, I totally understand that, because it took me 3 years to get to the self-help group, and a lot of people would rehearse in their head what they're going to do, and like a big event like this could be scary. But please do contact me. Even if you don't feel like you can come to the event, I just want to hear from people who may feel like this, just so I can help in some way.
You can ring us here at BBC Radio Manchester and we can give you the website. Very nice to see you this morning. Fantastic to hear you speak. I mean, that's great for you, isn't it? Here you are, live on BBC Radio Manchester. Yeah. Another step up that ladder. Nice to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Steve Light there, and Starship on the way. This weekend, just heard from Steve Light live on BBC Radio Manchester talking about social anxiety disorder. I mean, that's a huge achievement, isn't it, for somebody who a few years ago, as he's just explained, struggled to talk to even his friends and family on the telephone because he was so very anxious. And if what he was saying rang a bell or two with you, you can log on to shininglight.org.uk for more information, or alternatively you can phone us here at BBC Radio Manchester 0161 228 2255. Marvin Gaye on the way. BBC